What's popular, YouTube? Another day, another demo. Yeah, we've rocked up to top 10 now. Things are serious. The gloves are coming off. The real players are here. Everybody is going to have these players on their list in their top 20, certainly, right? This is the crunch time. This is where I think we can move up a couple of spots on some people. I actually think there might be a lot of leeway in some sense between maybe top 12 and 1, but I think obviously it's going to be familiar faces, and now it's about what order. So who do you have here in top 10, within the top 10, the coveted top 10 of 2021? There are so many big names to talk about. The one that we're going to talk about today, and the one who will be blessing our screen in just a few moments, he's the kid. He's brand new, okay? He's brand new. That's the first clue. The second one is he's got his teammates. His teammates love him. His teammates have been on record saying he is the best player on their team. Oh, who is that? What's that reference to? That's a question. I wonder who it is. It is. The other thing about him is that his name is based on a car part. Not necessary. No, car part. No, it's never mind. It's not a car part. It's something that no. It's something It's relating to attach to the axis of something. Lying in the axis of anything. Okay, not a car part. I don't know why I said car part. I'm gonna give up on this one. Okay, that's right, baby. It's Axile. Yes, the car part. I don't know what. Okay, yeah, look, Axile, baby. Who guessed it? Who thought I said device? Who thought it was device? That's what I want to know, because I was like, if people were saying he's the best player on their team, who had device on this list? We're gonna watch another game where Axile. Okay, another game. 2 games so far we watched where Fnatic lose. Even though they win most of their matches, we found 2 of the demos where Fnatic lose. It's shocking. We're going to watch this 16-4 overpass match from IEM Winter, where we kind of like started to round out the year. It was an insane performance from Axel overall. I just watched the demo, 2.29 rating, and he deserved every little bit of this number, okay? All the way up, maybe even 2.30 mentally in my mind. That was beautiful. It was a key spot. I wanted a flattering position for Axel. He's a guy who's got a lot of great things to talk about when it comes to this year in general. He had a stellar start to the year, of course, and that was not a question for anybody on Gambit, the newly formed roster. He's the guy who, him and his team won $1 million before summer hit. He's the guy who was the one that his teammates have been in interviews talking about how he's the best player on their team. He was not falling off versus the tier 1 at all. Of course, when we go to LAN, things change a little bit for him, but not in a really bad way. There's just underrepresentation in terms of how many events they played, like how many tier 1 or really, really good teams they had in their runs at these big events, which, listen, they showed up to the events, they played well. If their opponents show up, it's not, or don't, it's not their fault, right? We can't get too picky about how the brackets go. There were only a few tournaments in the year. This one I loosely, for Gambit, I do want to say that they were the Astralis online when it came to the beginning of this year. And I want to have reference for that because, even though it was online, it was hella competitive. It still clearly wasn't it didn't really make or break teams like LAN did as soon as LAN came back. So we see Navi win every single LAN that they attended. The one LAN that they didn't attend was IEM Winter, where Vitality won that. So just take that in. But we have a very strong end to the year as well, which I think changed the game for me with Gambit, with some of these players shook up the rankings a little bit more even because they just continue to be consistent. So, storyline, third, fourth, semis at the major, 5th, 6th at IEM Winter's pretty good. Axel's super solid. Some of the stats here, we do see situations where, we look at why they did lose ultimately, because they're supposed to win each of these lands if we think that their online results translate directly. And in some of their final games, we had Axel fell off a little bit, but not really. I'd say he still did well enough. And you still lose the game that you get eliminated on, so I think you got to be a bit more fair when it comes to looking at the stats. But overall, you kind of had like good maps here and there. Of course, Navi were a direct, really, really tough competition for Gambit on LAN in a big match. So they played against them a couple of times. Axel was good. Axel was good overall. I think big matches, standout matches, absolutely insane rifler this year. I heard Config say he believed Axel was the best rifler in the world at one point this year, which is incredibly high praise from Config coming out of him. Of course, that was while things were still online somewhat. So we had yet to see, but a lot of players just believed it would translate. They believe in him. They didn't come out privately and go, Launders, this kid's random. He's bad. He's gonna fall off online. Nobody told me that. No pros told me that. So for the team as a whole, there were questions even from the coach. They've all been transparent about their results, and there was a question of whether or not they would be able to keep it going. But man, they had an extraordinary year. I mean, this is no LAN wins. That's fine. Navi exists. If Navi didn't exist, I might actually have been able to win a LAN here or there. But very, very strong stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and look at our number 10 player of the year, Axile. Excellent. An Axile demo, that's something everybody loves to see, especially Axile CT side overpass. That's where Axile built his brand. That's what we did a couple of videos a long time ago when I was doing daily uploads, but just for like no reason. I was just trying to pick the channel up by its bootstraps, and we looking at some up and coming talent. We looked at Gambit youngsters, and we looked at Axile, and we looked at Shiro. The 1-2 punch combination on the bathrooms of Overpass. That was pretty much what we were watching for. And now we fast forward way deep into 2020, in the precipice of 2022. And what do we see? Their Overpass hasn't dropped off in the slightest. They still love playing this map. Other teams are very terrified of them. And the reason is because Axile, he's just king. He's king on this map. In a lot of ways, Axile is what Rez wants to be. Even though Axile's in year 1 of doing this shit, I think already we're seeing so much promise out of him. And the cool part really with Axile is that the conversation around him as a player is like, okay, he's good. Okay, he's good. Okay, he's really good. Yeah, wow, he just made it look so light and fluffy, didn't he? He just popped him like a souffle right there. That was crazy. It's like he didn't even really flick. That's cool. Sometimes it looks like an RTS when these guys are playing, you know what I'm saying? It's not actually aim, he's just clicking on the target. Shot goes to the head. Come on, man. Oh, nasty. As the Australians, nasty. You guys would say that, right? Who's up? Anyone from Australia up? Wow. Okay. So because Rez loves Overpass, right? And we call it Reser Pass sometimes. But Axile Pass. I couldn't think of anything good. Axile Pass is real too, man. And so I was doing Blast a couple of days ago, like last week, and Axile was playing the World Final. He's playing on Overpass, and no way you just get glocked down after that pistol round. That's straight embarrassing, Axile. You should retire post haste. Just kidding. He got two assists. I'm just being a negative Nancy. I'm just being I'm being a mean guy. Okay. Well, of course they can drop him again after the pistol round. You gotta give him one more chance, right? So, standard nades here. Slow down the A attack. Get some info off the Molotov that drops deep on the stairs. Go off the stairs. Gotta be careful with the stairs, especially look at the minimap when they don't take stairs or short control with you. You can get trapped there. If you have a nade set, it's a little bit better. Like, if he didn't use his nade on mid and he was in stairs with his nades, which I'm actually kind of surprised that was the situation, but you could see he was just planning to fall back anyway. He could use that smoke inside of the stairs. And then sometimes what you can do is, like, let's say you think they're above you and you think they're below you on short, but you don't think they're actually in stairs. Sometimes people will just push that smoke, really late, and then you got a flank around either B or A, whatever you like. So that's an option too. Hard flat angle here. Can spot the jump up outside of long. This game is not going to spoil the scoreline. It's a very lopsided game. It's one where Axile plays really well. And I was debating between this and an online match where they won Katowice earlier this year, because they played against Navi and they played Train. And I was like, we should watch a Train demo, right? Right? I'm actually a fool for not picking the Train demo. But then I was thinking, it wasn't. It was like a good score line for Axal, but it was just like okay, and versus Navi, and I was like, oh, we'd see like Flamey, I think, at Kato, because Bit didn't play Kato, did he? Yeah, I don't know. We would have seen Flamey and stuff. That would have been cool. I should. That's still something we can do, of course. All right, say that I'd never do it, but you know what? I do get half of my demos from the comments. Okay. Oh yeah. So first of all, I'm not trying to do this ironically. Someone called me out. They said, "Launders very smart." Instead of just saying, "Oh, can I get 10 likes in this video?" I made fun of YouTubers who say, "Can I get 10 likes in this video?" So I could show that I'm self-aware and do it ironically. Is this what we're gonna watch? Just an eco farm from Axal? He's only killing people who have pistols. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, man. You know, Axal in the Nafany interviews. Can we get 10 likes in this video? Also, who do you think is coming up next? Comments. Because comments and likes and stuff, it's going to help the video. All these videos have been like 1 of 10s. Very good, consistent viewership. That's great. I want to use this to try to grow the channel as much as possible, basically, as we go into the top 10. But, yeah, likes, comments, and all that stuff. I'll say it once a video. It's not going to be the same people watching every time, right? If you get sick of it, let me know. I read the comments. It's my favorite part. Back in the day, when I say that, 2020, okay, breakout tournament for the squad right here, Gambit. First of all, if Navi didn't exist, most amazing team this year, you know, to flip the Gambit youngsters rosters, to win about $1 million before summer hit, online, and then transition into a series of top 4 placings on LAN, and end the year in a final in the Blast World Finals after qualifying out of the first half of the year. Bruh. You know, it's one thing to hit a peak, but it's a total other thing to stay there. And Gambit were the I mean, they were getting picked. I was comparing them to Astralis 2018 online. I call them Astralis online because they actually were that far ahead of, like, they weren't losing any of their favored games. Like, they were just the demons. They were the closest thing to just straight up having an era if everything wasn't online, you know, at the time. But yeah, Navi showed us what a real era is this year, of course. You know, at the same time while Gambit are playing well, so there is a difference. Ooh, this gun is gonna stick out. Okay, it's gonna stick out, but he's got an op coverage on the side, so he's not even worried about it. And I see the smoke. He can free up his op, as op can hold this divider position. Okay, Shiro's playing around it. Wow, what a move. He actually just pushes through. You get a shadow advantage once you get to the spot. The scary part is getting to this spot, but now if anyone comes in here, you have a shadow advantage, so that's huge. Let's see if you think someone's lurked long. It's unlikely, so yeah, okay, he's not even going to clear it. We're just going to move forward into... Yeah, that's the one risk right there. That's the one risk of the round right there. Let's see if he beats the timing being in front of that smoke. Yeah, he does. Yeah, that's Smoothie throwing nades. That's the heaven smoke and whatever that he's throwing, so that's it. Now, it's the plans are known. It's obvious. It's clear. It's for sure. Right? Yep, they're coming into the site. Not much you can do there. Nice timing from Axal. Nice play there in the bathrooms. It's all about your chemistry with your opper, you know? The angles are very fun, I'd say, for the bathrooms rifler. The thing is that you can't just put any player here. They have to be really good because... The bathrooms, you're just constantly moving, constantly falling back, and you don't really have cover you can stay on. You don't get a dice box like you have on the A site, right? You don't get a headshots barrel like you have on B. In bathrooms, you're playing with like paper mache cover. It's ephemeral cover. You keep moving. You have to be very dynamic, always moving. A lot of the times you're alone. Sometimes you're playing off the, you know, divider outside the bathroom. Sometimes you're playing. There's just like number of angles. You're moving between all the time. Fights like this, it's basically like, it's kind of like you have a slight CT advantage because the T's don't know you're there. That's always the CT advantage. You get to hold the angle. But on the downside, you have to find all these timings. And the T's know in general where you can play. So that's the real trickiest part. But you got Axal and Shiro, man. These guys, They just dumpster fools. It's just no problem. 8-0. Fight back. Fight back. Yeah, at this point, you turn your brain off a little bit. Everything's working too well. Okay, let's see. Well, he's... Oh, he just saw it now. Okay, is he going to nade? No, if they throw that molly, they're pretty far back still. So that molly is supposed to land so that if they're... Oh, Shiro is opping, and he's standing on top of the... Like, in balloons. Okay, now a rifle can be there, too. It just covers them. But you stand back and you wait for him to rotate either through the left or the right side. So don't want to waste that nade to see it when you see that molly. Because it means they're definitely not that close. They played way back to see if an aggressive option would be taken. But there was none. Ooh. What's... Ooh, okay, what will he do off this? Let's see. It's not frozen. Your screen is fine. It's just waiting for some nades to come. The idea is hold it as long as you possibly can. But not a millisecond longer. Or, when you think it's the other side, just throw it. It looks like they could be rotating. We'll see. Oh. Oh my god, that's so... Wait, what the hell? Wait, did Shiro smoke long? Maybe Shiro smoked long? I don't know. I was like, did they smoke blind? I thought they threw a smoke on him to smoke blind him or something like that. I think Shiro may have smoked long, and then the smoke came through the wall. That's what I'm going to guess. Luckily, he had it lined up the whole time. That worked out beautifully. That's it. You look for that timing. That's it. Hold the flash for as long as you can, not a second longer. Axel had a very powerful year, online, on LAN. And I think one of the things about Axel this year was that he was the guy in the Nafny interviews, like I was talking about earlier. I didn't finish that thought. Nafny in the 2020 interviews, DreamHack Masters winter, when me and Connor were casting in Sweden, in Stockholm. And we were casting at the studios online. Wow, that's nice. He basically, Nafny basically said, everyone needs to talk about Axel. Axel is the real star player of this team. And we were all talking about Shiro, and we were talking about Nafny as IGL. But he kept saying, Axel, he's the kid, he's the guy, he's good at everything. I think the famous line was, he goes to school, he has a girlfriend, and he's the best player on the team. So he's just said he's very, very smart. And I think, it's kind of weird because like Hobbit and Shiro, I think, outperform him generally in a few different categories, stats-wise. But he has some good things about his stat lines, even being able to stand out on this team, where he fell off in a couple of finals, which is a big thing for Gambit in their final games. Who's the reason that they didn't go farther on lands? Sometimes is the question mark, and we'll talk more about that as the list plays out. But for Axel, I feel like we saw a mixed bag. We saw a little bit of good, a little bit of bad in the finals, or the bigger matches overall. But in general, his land statistics were fantastic still. Like he was not a liability. So I think, yeah, he transitioned very well. And for these guys, I mean, the fact that they're even top 15 players in this year, on their first year, and it's like when Bit does what Bit does, it's incredible. But at the same time, he does do it with Navi, with simple and electronic, right? I think that's really important. Like, he's on a very well-established team with a lot of super talents. Gambit have carved out a completely unique place in the top level, and have done it with just Hobbit, who basically has been irrelevant after he won the major for 2 years, went to Hellraisers, and then came back. It's not to say that they forgot how to play the game. He's obviously still, now you know why he won that major in the first place. It's just that the difference for players to play well consistently on Gambit versus Na'Vi is a stark contrast. I mean, I don't think it's comparable. I think it's way more impressive in some ways to even come to close to the level that Gambit did. And if Gambit just fell off this year and just disappeared after lands, we'd still say, yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good for a new team. Looking forward to Gambit next year. But instead, they literally end second place in the Blast World Final. The cumulative split tournament for the fall and spring season of the year, and top four Cologne, as well as top four at the major as well. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It has to be said. The fact that we get all these guys. I mean, in some ways, the year ended in a place where a lot of roster changes were going to go down, but I think we come into 2022 with some of these roster moves, and you're going to get some dream teams, and you're going to get some of the very. I've never seen in all the time that I've watched CS:GO ever since 2013, which is the least competitive year. It's not to take away from what NIP did, because they were. People have to understand, like, to be that far ahead of the competition at any point in history is always insanely impressive, because like everyone is trying to do it. But it's the least competitive year, 2013, because there's like 3 really good teams with a lot of experience, and whatever. 2021, 2022, I mean, it's the amount of players that are good throughout the top 30, and the amount of teams and the maps have just been slowly developing over the years without actually changing. It just speaks to how impressive it is. And you've heard this from many people at this point, but I think this coming into 2022, having teams like Heroic, having teams like Gambit, and then having, new Astralis, new Vitality, Navi as it stands, G2 with potentially Monacy. I mean, it's going to be the strongest tier 1 level ever. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. It's already insane. It's already insane. And there's some interesting, exciting stuff happening in NA as well. This is another great round from Axile, actually. Axile just can't lose a duel. He's a direct reason why they're up so much. I mean, they've gone A a significant amount. Axile tormenting them. So this the situation where if you're in stairs, you want to rotate out, it's a little scary, because you're like, all right, well, if I'm going downstairs, then it's slow to go back. So he was considering throwing the flash high. He's still going to do it here. And this helps your teammates rotate in from CT. And he'll dump his nade set and actually just get out. This is some nice support. I mean, there's still only 2 up from Fnatic, so they can split up. But it looks like Fnatic still want that smoke. Now, 35 seconds. I mean, they technically could still go downstairs. And actually, where Axile ran, they're going to hear him. But they'll probably still commit A, so I can understand the rotation. Yeah, they're just walking. Perfect positions. Absolute, pristine, perfect positions. I think they finally lose here. This isn't a 60-0. I actually didn't know it went this bad for Fnatic overall. Dude, every time we watch a Fnatic demo, they lose. I swear, you wouldn't believe they actually win most of their games. But yeah, I think Axile is the version of Rez. I think Axile is that kind of peak condition Rez. Basically, he's got a bit better awareness. He's got that perfect rifling. He's really good on overpass. His CT sides are very strong. I think the only blemish on the record this year, Maui brought it up, he fell off a bit on T sides, but overall I didn't see anything too alarming. And honestly, I think that was that for a certain portion of the year, but on it, like in the big lands and stuff like that, I mean, it wasn't too bad, I think, overall. So I don't think yeah, the weird part about Gambit was when they were still losing, you couldn't look at their stats and be like, hey, this is the reason. This guy fell off hard. It was tough. The one thing that people were trying to say was Axile T sides were coming down a little bit. He's definitely had a tiny little slump, but overall, I mean, the overall event stats just speak the truth, especially the LAN events and everything throughout the online phase. He just did not really shake overall. Axile's gonna have a big buyout one day, you know what I mean? I hope he never leaves Gambit. I hope all these teams stay together, but just saying. Right now, Gambit are the only team probably in like the whole top 10 that don't need a roster change, don't appear to need a roster change, and also aren't going to have one forcefully. Like Vitality, Liquid, and a lot of these other teams are going to be picking up new players or falling apart, or whatever the case is. First time Axile died actually in his whole life right there. But apart from, like, Navi are so good right now that they're just causing this kind of like what would you call it, like a riptide. Something like when a boat's going by and it just causes that triangle wave and everything behind it just gets disrupted. Basically, right now, that's what's happening with all the teams behind Navi, is that they're all now forced to make roster moves in order to beat them. Like, for example, if Navi didn't exist, then a G2 would have won at least 3 major tournaments, and they would have won Kato. I mean, they would have won so many events this year, basically. Major events as well, and then they wouldn't have need to made a roster change, period. So that's a direct one. And then there's just every other team that can't beat them. You know, the fact that Vitality won one single event this year, and the only event that they won was the one that Navi didn't attend. Navi won every single LAN that they attended this year. It's a crazy stat for you. But Gambit are a team who were the team that could beat Navi, you know? Even though Vitality, like Shock said, we fuck up their nuke streak. Gambit were the team who were beating them most of the time. Now, when it mattered on LAN, Navi just stomped them out, right? Crushed them like a cigarette butt on the sidewalk. But ultimately, it's still fine for Gambit because they still are aware of the fact that they have stuff to prove in that regard. They're still working on it. Oh, that flash is just working so well. No way he locks that down, dude. Problem was terrified. Oh my god, he's spraying. He's spraying. Yeah, this is a pretty stellar map. That flash is everything, huh? There's just nothing you can do about it. No one ever seems to see it coming. Wow, 14-1/2. Very flattering game to do on Axal, but I think it is representative of what his peaks are. He's pretty bonkers, dude. Pretty bonkers, dude. Sorry, we keep watching all these demos where Fnatic lose. It's not very nice of me. 2 for 2 on that. My goodness. How does that keep happening? All right. Well, that's Axal. Yeah, that's Axal. Who you got next? Let me know in the comments. Can we get 10 likes on this video? Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've been enjoying the top 20. It's been a very fun ride for me so far, so stay tuned. A few more days left over. Axal, number 10, baby. Locking it in. Top 10 in the world. You'll love to see it. Be safe.